The collar hitting the garage floor at 2:45 woke me. That's when I knew the man who took my mother's last name wasn't just taking her peace anymore. He was taking Ranger. I burst through the garage door, blinded by headlights and his fist connecting with my ribs. But I saw the envelope clearly. Grease-stained bills fanned between his fingers like a confession. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," they said. But the Army taught me that when someone touches what's yours, you don't ask permission to take it back. By morning, I wasn't the good daughter anymore. I was something else entirely, someone with a plan. My name is Mara Quinn, and I learned in the military that some battles choose you whether you're ready or not. The house in Westerville sat quiet when I pulled into the driveway at 3:15 a.m., my uniform still carrying the warehouse dust from North Cross Logistics, third week of civilian life, and I was already failing at normal. The porch light flickered. Roy never fixed anything that didn't directly inconvenience him. I killed the engine and called out softly, "Ranger, come here, boy." Nothing. Usually, his Belgian Malinois frame would materialize from the shadows, 70 pounds of trained muscle and loyalty pressing against my legs before I even made it to the door. Tonight, the yard stretched empty under the suburban Ohio moon. The doorbell camera caught my attention, its red recording light blinking. I pulled out my phone, opened the app, and rewound the footage. 2:17 a.m. Roy Baxter, my mother's husband, dragging a wire kennel toward his rusted F-150. Inside the kennel, Ranger's distinctive black mask pressed against the bars. My throat closed. That dog wasn't just a pet, he was my anchor. The breathing reminder that I'd survived Kandahar, that the nightmares couldn't swallow me whole if his warmth pressed against my ribs at night. I found Roy in the garage, counting bills under the fluorescent strip light. The envelope looked thick, maybe $2,000 in 20s and 50s. Oil stains decorated the edges. "Where's my dog?" He didn't even look up. "Not your dog anymore. Sold him to a guy who actually appreciates working breeds." The rage came up cold, controlled the way they'd trained us to feel it before room clearing. "You had no right. I pay the mortgage on this house." His voice carried that particular brand of cruelty he'd perfected over 5 years. "That makes everything in it mine to handle. Ranger is registered to me, his vet bills, his food." The backhand caught me off guard. Not the violence I'd seen Roy's temper before, but the casual efficiency of it. My ribs met the workbench corner, and I tasted copper. "You want to make this harder than it needs to be." He stood now, all 6'2" of construction worker bulk. "The dog's gone. $3,000 toward the new roof. You should be thanking me." I pulled myself upright. Military-bearing automatic. In the MP Corps, we learned to catalog everything evidence, witnesses, escalation patterns. Roy's knuckles showed fresh scratches. The envelope had a business card tucked behind the bills. The garage camera would have caught this angle. "Mom know about this. Elaine understands priorities, unlike her daughter who played soldier and came back thinking she runs things." From upstairs, I heard my half-brother Kyle's laughter, probably watching through his window, enjoying the show. 22 years old and still Roy's golden boy. The son who never left, never challenged, never questioned where the money came from or went. I stepped back, hands deliberately visible and non-threatening. De-escalation, they called it. What they really meant was gather intel now, strike later. "What's the buyer's name?" Roy's grin spread slow. Why you planning to buy him back with what money that minimum wage warehouse job?" He folded the envelope, tucked it into his shirt pocket. "Deke Rowland, runs a kennel operation out past Broad Street. Already got 3 buyers lined up for a trained protection dog. Your mutt's probably halfway to Indiana by now." The name burned into my memory. Deke Rowland. I backed toward the door, each step measured. Roy watched me retreat with satisfaction, mistaking tactical withdrawal for surrender. Inside the house, Mom sat at the kitchen table, coffee mug wrapped in both hands despite the late hour. She didn't meet my eyes. "You let him." "Mara, please, don't make this worse." Worse, my voice stayed level, professional. He sold my service dog, Mom, the one thing keeping me. I stopped. She didn't need to know about the nightmares, the hypervigilance, the way Ranger's presence meant I could actually sleep 4 consecutive hours. The roof needs replacing before winter. Roy's doing what he thinks is best. Roy's doing what Roy always does, taking what isn't his. She flinched, but stayed silent. 5 years of practice. I climbed the stairs to my room. My old room. Temporary refuge since discharge, and opened my laptop. The doorbell camera footage downloaded first. Then I started searching Deke Rowland, dog kennels, Broad Street area. The internet left breadcrumbs everywhere if you knew how to track them. By 4:30 a.m., I had an address, 3 social media profiles, and a very interesting connection to an underground dog-fighting ring that Deke swore he'd left behind in Kentucky. They thought they'd won because I'd walked away. They had no idea what walking away meant to someone trained in tactical planning. The first time Roy Baxter walked through our front door, I was 23 and home on leave. Mom introduced him like a prize. Look what I found while you were gone. He assessed me the way men like him always do, calculating whether I was competition or could be controlled. 5 years taught me he'd decided on both. Roy came with money, or at least the appearance of it. Construction foreman with his own crew. Cash deals, new truck every other year. Mom had been struggling since Dad's death teacher's salary. Mortgage. My brother Kyle starting community college. Roy swept in like a solution to problems she never admitted having. The control started small. Comments about my career. Women in the military? Sure, but military police, trying to prove something. Then the financial grip consolidating bills in his name, adding Mom to his accounts but never giving her the passwords. Classic isolation tactics. I'd seen it in domestic incident reports 100 times. Kyle loved it. Finally, a father figure who bought him things, who didn't ask about grades or ambition, who taught him that respect meant fear and money meant power. Within a year, my half-brother had transformed from a shy kid who liked computers into Roy's shadow, parroting his opinions about my playing soldier girl games. I stayed away longer after that. Extended deployments felt safer than home. But Ranger changed everything. I found him at a rescue organization that paired veterans with service dogs. He'd washed out of police K-9 training, too sensitive, they said, too attached to handlers. The moment our eyes met, I understood. We both knew what it meant to be declared unfit for the only purpose we'd been trained for. The nightmares had been getting worse. IEDs hidden in garbage bags, a kid with a vest, my squad leader's face when the morphine couldn't touch the pain anymore. Ranger became my battle buddy stateside, waking me before the screaming started, creating physical barriers in crowds, his weight across my chest when the panic attacked. When I got discharged honorably, though it felt like anything but coming home seemed logical. Save money. Figure out civilian life. Keep Ranger somewhere with a yard. Mom promised Roy understood. He respects your service, she'd said on the phone. Roy's version of respect meant constant tests, moving Ranger's food bowls, leaving the gate open, accidentally, loud noises when he knew I was sleeping, then mocking my startled response. Jumpy little thing, aren't you? That what they're sending home these days? I documented everything in my old field notebook. Dates, times, incidents. Habit from writing incident reports. Maybe because I recognized an enemy combatant when I lived with one. The worst part was watching Mom shrink. She used to teach high school English, ran the debate team, fought the school board for better textbook funding. Now she scheduled her life around Roy's moods, spoke in careful, measured tones, and kept her eyes down when he raised his voice. "Why do you stay?" I asked her once, after Roy had spent 20 minutes berating her for buying the wrong beer brand. "You don't understand," she whispered. "The house is in his name now, the refinancing. I signed papers. If I leave, I have nothing. Kyle has nothing. And where would we go? Financial abuse. Another textbook pattern. He'd probably planned it from day one. Kyle emerged as Roy's enforcer. "You're making everything worse," he'd tell me after each confrontation. "Just follow the rules. It's not that hard." The brother who used to sneak into my room during thunderstorms now reported my movements to his father, earning approval through surveillance. Last week, Roy escalated. I'd gotten the warehouse job, started saving. Independence threatened him. He began making comments about Ranger aggressive breed, liability issues. Maybe shouldn't have such a dangerous animal around. I should have seen it coming. In combat, missing signals got people killed. In civilian life, it just got your dog sold to a stranger while you worked night shift. Sitting in my room now, laptop warm on my thighs. I pulled up my VA counselor's number. Almost called. But what would I say? My stepfather sold my service dog, and I'm planning something that would definitely violate my probation's good conduct clause. No. This was my operation to run. I opened a new browser, started researching Ohio's animal protection laws. Turned out, selling someone else's registered emotional support animal was a felony. If I could prove ownership, prove the sale, prove Roy knew what he was doing, that was a different kind of justice than I'd learned in the service. But justice all the same. The bedroom door creaked. Mom stood there, silhouette backlit by hallway light. "Your father would be ashamed," she said quietly, "of what I've let this become." "Dad would understand survival," I replied, "but he'd also understand fighting back." She set something on my dresser of folded paper. "Roy keeps his real business records in a storage unit. That's the access code." Then she was gone, door clicking shut. I unfolded the paper, a unit number and 6 digits. Maybe Mom hadn't shrunk as much as I'd thought. Maybe she'd just been waiting for backup. Sleep wasn't happening. By 5:45 a.m., I'd already extracted the doorbell footage and uploaded it to 3 different cloud services. The MP in me knew evidence had a way of disappearing when money was involved. The business card from Roy's envelope was barely visible in the video. I enhanced the frame until I could make out DECAR 71K9 services. No legitimate business used handles instead of names. I cross-referenced it with the social media profiles I'd found. Deke Rowland had a private Facebook group, Working Dogs Ohio Valley. Required approval to join. I created a fake profile, Jennifer Santos, dog trainer from Dayton. Stock photos, generated backstory. Enough details to pass a casual review. While waiting for approval, I pulled up the Ohio Revised Code on my phone. Section 959.02 Theft of a companion animal. Section 29.3.02 Theft when property exceeds $1,000. Ranger's training certificates put his value at $8,000 minimum. My phone buzzed. Kyle, texting from downstairs. "Dad wants you gone by noon. Pack your shit." Dad. He called Roy, Dad, now. I grabbed my ruck and started pulling reconnaissance together. First stopped the storage unit Mom had revealed. The facility sat off Morse Road, 24-hour access. I badged in with the code at 6:30 a.m. Found Unit 47B. Roy's real books were there. All right. Also, 3 filing cabinets of under-the-table construction deals, unreported income, and jackpot a folder labeled Side Business. Photos of dogs, fighting ring connections from Kentucky, correspondence with someone named Deeker going back 3 years. They'd been partners before. Roy supplied construction sites for training grounds. Deke provided the dogs. I photographed everything. 23 minutes of systematic documentation, the kind that would hold up in court, or in a different kind of reckoning. The Facebook group approved my fake profile while I was driving back. I scrolled through posts during a red light. Deke's latest, from 4:17 a.m. New acquisition, trained Belgian Mal, excellent bloodlines. Bidding starts at $5K. The photo showed Ranger in a concrete kennel, chain-link fencing, industrial lighting. I recognized the background, an abandoned warehouse complex off Broad Street I'd passed during job hunting. Below the photo, comments from interested buyers. One stood out, "We'll pay $7K if you can prove military training certs." Deke's reply, "Documentation available. Previous owner was Army. Viewing tomorrow night, 8 p.m. tomorrow." Less than 36 hours to build a case. I called Franklin County Animal Control from the parking lot of a McDonald's. The conversation was enlightening. Unless you have proof of immediate abuse or neglect, we can't intervene, the officer explained. Ownership disputes are civil matters. The dog is microchipped and registered to me. Do you have a bill of sale showing the current possessor purchased him illegally? I have video of him being taken without my consent, from your residence where you both live. A pause. These domestic situations are complicated. You'd need a police report, a restraining order, or evidence of criminal activity beyond the scope of family property dispute. Family property dispute. As if Ranger was a couch we couldn't agree on. What about if they're selling him across state lines without proper documentation? The officer's tone changed. That's federal, interstate commerce in stolen goods. You'd need proof of the intended transaction. Proof. Everything came down to proof. I drove to the warehouse district, did a slow pass. The complex sprawled over 2 blocks mostly empty, a few sketchy businesses running out of the occupied units. Deke's operation occupied the north corner, identifiable by the kennels visible through broken windows and 2 trucks matching the ones from his social media. No direct approach too obvious. But the building next door stood empty, fire escape intact. Good vantage point for surveillance. Back home. Roy's truck was gone. Mom sat on the porch, cardboard box at her feet. Your things, she said, not meeting my eyes. He says you have until noon. I looked in the box. My discharge papers, some clothes, Ranger's toys, the collar he'd worn home from the rescue. I picked it up, tags jingling rabies vaccination, microchip number, and the one I'd added, if found, call Mara Quinn, with my number. There's something else, Mom whispered. She pulled out her phone, showed me a text thread with Roy. He's been talking to Deke for weeks, planning this. Look, the messages were clear. Roy complaining about the dog situation. Deke suggesting it could be profitable for everyone. Roy asking about timing when I'd be at work. Screenshot those. Email them to me. I can't, he checks my sent folder. Then forward them to yourself and delete the sent message. Mom, this is evidence of conspiracy. She looked at me then. Really looked. You're not letting this go. Would Dad? A ghost of her old smile. Your father would have already burned something down. I'm more subtle. Military training. Mara. She grabbed my hand. Be careful. Roy's connected. Construction crews, some rough people. And Deke, he's not just some dog dealer. Kyle brags about it. The people his dad knows. They hurt people who cross them. They've never dealt with an MP who's got nothing left to lose. That wasn't entirely true. I had Ranger to lose. But in my experience, the best offense came when your enemy thought you were retreating. I loaded the box in my car, made a show of driving away, let the neighbors see me leaving, let Kyle report back to Daddy that I'd been handled. Then I parked 3 blocks over and called Tessa Morales. Quinn, that you thought you'd fallen off the earth after discharge. I need backup. Sergeant. A pause. I'm not a sergeant anymore. Private security now. Once an MP, always an MP. Someone stole my dog. I'm getting him back. Rules of engagement. Civilian lawful. Mostly. She laughed. I'm in Columbus for a corporate gig anyway. Where and when? Tessa met me at a diner off High Street at 2 p.m., sliding into the booth like she was reporting for duty. She'd traded ACUs for tactical pants and a security contractor polo, but her eyes still swept the room, cataloging exits and threats. Show me what we're working with, she said. I spread out my phone, tablet, and printed screenshots, the storage unit documents, Roy's text threads, Deke's Facebook posts, the warehouse location. Tessa absorbed it all, her expression shifting from skeptical to engaged. This Deke character is sloppy, she noted. Public posts about illegal sales, using the same handle across platforms. Amateur hour. That works for us, but he's dangerous amateur. Mom says he's connected to Roy's underworld construction contacts. The kind who pour foundations at 3A. And nobody asks what's underneath. Tessa knew the type. Okay, what's your objective? Primary recover ranger. Secondary evidence for criminal prosecution. Tertiary make sure Roy never touches what's mine again. That's a lot of mission creep. Quinn, I've got 30 hours before Deke sells my dog. Mission parameters are flexible. Tessa pulled out her own phone. I've got a contact at Columbus PD, Detective Martinez, worked a dogfighting case last year. He'd love to nail Deke Rowland, but never had probable cause for surveillance. We get him probable cause. We get him gift-wrapped evidence of interstate trafficking. She grinned. But first, we need to control the buy. I'll play interested customer from Indiana, cash buyer, looking for protection dogs for my security company. Deke will vet you. Let him. I've got corporate papers, LinkedIn, the works, Tax Shield Securities, LLC, legitimate business I run on the side. We spent the next hour building the operation. Tessa would contact Deke through the Facebook group, arrange a viewing. I'd provide overwatch from the empty building, recording everything. We'd need proof of Ranger's identity, proof of sale negotiation, proof of Roy's involvement. What about backup? Tessa asked. Two-person operation is thin. I've got some leverage with animal control. If we can show active abuse or immediate interstate transport, they'll respond. You're Detective Martinez. He'll need solid probable cause. But yeah, he's been wanting Deke for months. I pulled out Ranger's collar, removed the tags. I need you to stop by PetSmart, get an AirTag, super glue, and a replacement collar that looks like this. Tracking device. Insurance. In case the buy goes sideways, we don't lose him again. Tessa took the collar. What about Roy? He's going to know you're involved the second this goes down. Let him. By then, it'll be too late. We split up to prepare. I hit an Army surplus store for surveillance gear, night vision monocular, tactical recorder, backup batteries. The credit card was nearly maxed, but money felt irrelevant against the mission clock. At 4:30 p.m., Tessa texted, "Contact made. Deke's interested, wants to verify funds." I replied, "Show him whatever he needs." The photo she sent Deke was beautiful, 10 grand in hundreds, fanned across a Tax Shield Securities invoice pad. Movie money from a prop store, but the photo quality made it impossible to tell. Deke bit hard. Voice message through Facebook. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., warehouse at Broad and 18th. Bring cash, dogs prime quality, military trained. Former owner was Army bitch who didn't appreciate what she had. My hands stayed steady, but something cold settled in my chest. The same feeling before a convoy hit an IED, inevitable violence approaching. Tessa called. He wants to know if I can handle an aggressive dog. Tell him you need to see the dog's training level. Make him show off. The more he demonstrates, the more evidence we collect. Roger that. Also, I ran Deke through some databases. 3 arrests, no convictions, assault, illegal gambling, animal cruelty. Roy's name appears as a character witness in 2 of them. They're deeper partners than just this sale. Looks like your stepdad's been feeding him dogs for years, strays from construction sites. Mostly. And now mine. And now yours. Quinn, this could get ugly. These aren't Taliban in a combat zone. We can't just light them up. No, I agreed. But we can destroy them legally, financially, socially. That's the spirit. I'm sourcing some additional equipment. Zip ties, UV marking spray, couple other tricks. Oh, and Martinez is interested. Says if we get video of money changing hands for stolen property, he'll roll units. The plan was crystallizing. Tessa would enter the warehouse at 8 p.m. tomorrow, wearing a wire and button camera. I'd be positioned in the adjacent building by 7:30, recording through the broken windows. When Deke produced Ranger and named the price, that's conspiracy to traffic stolen goods. When Tessa verified Ranger's military markings and microchip proving identity, that's possession of stolen property. When money appeared to change hands, Martinez rolls in. What about Roy? Tessa asked. Deke's going to flip on Roy to save himself. Criminals always do. And if he doesn't, I thought about the storage unit documents. Then I've got enough to destroy Roy's construction business, His reputation, his finances. One way or another, he loses everything. Damn, Quinn, remind me never to steal your dog. That night, I slept in my car behind a 24-hour gym, Ranger's collar wrapped around my wrist like a talisman. Tomorrow night, I'd either have him back or lose him forever. At 0600 hours tomorrow, I'd begin final mission prep. But tonight, I let myself remember his weight against my side, his breath in the darkness, the way his presence meant I could close my eyes without seeing Kandahar. Roy thought he'd sold a dog. He'd actually sold my sanity, my safety, my single reason for staying stable. That kind of theft demanded a reckoning. Mom called at 7 a.m. while I was washing up in the gym bathroom. I almost didn't answer. "Can you meet me?" Her voice sounded different, stronger. "The coffee shop on Morse. 15 minutes. She sat in the back corner when I arrived. Baseball cap pulled low, wearing clothes I'd never seen jeans and Dad's old Ohio State sweatshirt she'd supposedly donated years ago. "You look like you're running an op," I said, sliding in across from her. "Maybe I am." She pushed a manila folder across the table. "Roy left for Toledo this morning. Construction emergency," he said, but I checked his phone while he was showering. "Mom, he's meeting someone about selling the house. Our house. Without telling me." Her hands trembled, but her voice stayed steady. "The house my father built, where I raised you, where your dad died. He's selling it." I opened the folder. Real estate documents, forged signatures, a power of attorney Mom definitely hadn't signed. "This is fraud, federal crime if it crosses state lines." "I know." She met my eyes. "I went to see a lawyer yesterday, after you left. Figured out Roy's been draining my retirement accounts too. 20 years of teaching. Gone." "Mom, we can file charges." "With what proof he's smart about it. Uses my passwords. Makes it look like I authorized everything." The lawyer said without evidence of coercion. "I have evidence. His whole illegal operation with Deke, the construction fraud, all of it." She leaned forward. "Mara, I need you to know something. When Roy sold Ranger, that was my breaking point. Not because of the dog, though that was cruel enough, but because I saw your face. The same look you had when you came home from deployment, before Ranger. Empty. I'm handling it. I know you are. That's what terrifies me." She pulled out another paper. "This is a protective order application. I'm filing it tomorrow, after your thing with the dog is done. But Roy can't know. Not yet. Mom, if you file that, you need somewhere safe to go. Your Aunt Linda in Michigan, already arranged." She smiled, and for a second, I saw my mother again, the one who'd fought school boards and won. "But first, I'm going to help you get Ranger back. This is dangerous. I'm done being scared in my own home, done watching Roy break everything he touches." She pulled out her phone, showed me a voice recording app. I've been recording him for 3 days. Every threat, every admission. He likes to brag when he's drunk. Last night, he told Kyle about some dogs that didn't survive training at Deke's place. My blood went cold. Ranger is valuable. He'll keep him safe until sale, but the others. She transferred the files to my phone. "Use this however you need. If Roy finds out, he won't. I've gotten very good at pretending to be weak." She stood, then paused. "Your father would be proud. The way you're fighting. Smart, strategic. He always said you got the warrior gene from his side. Dad never met a fight he wouldn't take." "No, but he knew how to pick his battles." "And his allies." She squeezed my shoulder. "Kyle doesn't know I'm leaving. I failed him. Mara, let Roy shape him into something cruel. Kyle made his choices. He was 17 when Roy started working on him. Still a kid." Pain flickered across her face. "But that's my burden, not yours. Get Ranger, then get out. Don't look back." "What about you?" "I'll be in Michigan by tomorrow night. Divorce papers served Monday morning." She pulled on sunglasses. "Roy's at the Toledo site until 6 p.m. He told Kyle to watch me. Make sure I don't help the ungrateful bitch his words. Kyle's watching you. Kyle's playing video games and drinking beer. He'll tell Roy whatever I ask him to. She headed for the door, then turned back. The storage unit has cameras. If you need to go back, wear a disguise. Roy checks the footage remotely sometimes. After she left, I sat processing the intelligence dump. Mom had been running her own operation, parallel to mine. Gathering evidence, building an escape route, protecting herself while appearing broken. My phone buzzed. Tessa. Deke confirmed 8 p.m. Wants me to come alone. Says he'll have muscle there for security. I replied, copy. How many? Unknown. Probably 2 or 3 of Roy's construction crew. That complicated things. Multiple hostiles meant multiple contingencies. I called the Army surplus store, asked them to hold a few more items, smoke grenades, zip tie cuffs, tactical flashlights with strobe function. Another text, this time from an unknown number. Heard you're looking for your dog. My pulse jumped. I didn't respond. This is Martinez, Tessa's contact. Can't officially help, but I'll be monitoring radio traffic tomorrow night. If something goes down, response time will be fast. I saved the number, replied, understood. The pieces were aligning. Mom's evidence would destroy Roy legally. The warehouse operation would recover Ranger and implicate Deke. The financial fraud would ensure Roy couldn't rebuild. But something nagged at me the feeling before an ambush, when everything looked too perfect. I pulled up Kyle's Instagram. He'd posted an hour ago selfie at the house. Caption, holding down the fort while Dad handles business. In the background, barely visible Roy's truck in the driveway. Roy wasn't in Toledo. He'd lied to Mom, which meant he suspected something, which meant tomorrow night's operation was definitely a trap. I smiled, the kind of smile that used to worry my squad leader. Let them think they were hunting me. In the Army, we had a saying, the best ambush is the one that catches another ambush mid-strike. Time to adjust the operational plan. The warehouse district looked different in daylight. At 3 p.m., I conducted reconnaissance in a borrowed Toyota Tessa's rental, invisible and forgettable. Roy's truck sat parked behind Deke's building, confirming my suspicion. They were preparing for us. I texted Tessa, change of plans. They know. Her reply came fast. Abort. Negative. We adjust. I parked 6 blocks away, changed into construction worker coveralls and hard hat I'd bought at Goodwill. Just another contractor checking out properties. The adjacent building's lock was already broken, rust and neglect. Not forced entry. Perfect legal cover. Inside, I mapped escape routes, sight lines, acoustic patterns. The broken windows overlooked Deke's warehouse at a 30-degree angle. I could see the kennels, 3 trucks, and a new addition security cameras pointed at the main entrance, but not at the loading dock. Sloppy. My phone vibrated. Mom, Roy just called. Says he'll be home late. Wants Kyle to keep an eye on things. Kyle's passed out drunk. I replied, stay inside. Lock your bedroom door. At 4:30 p.m. Tessa called. Deke moved the meeting. Says 7 p.m. now. Wants me there early to verify funds. This screams setup. It is. Roy's truck is already here. So we're walking into an ambush. No, we're repurposing their ambush. I explained the layout, the camera blind spots, the loading dock vulnerability. You go in the front as planned. While they're focused on you, I infiltrate from the dock. And if they grab me, they won't. You're their payday. They need you cooperative until money changes hands. But wear the vest anyway. Already planned on it. Martinez is on standby. Unmarked car, 2 blocks out. Tell him to wait for my signal, not yours. If they're planning to rob you, they'll check for wires. Copy that. Pause. Quinn, what aren't you telling me? I found something in Roy's records. 3 dogs Deke acquired last year, all sold to the same buyer in Kentucky. All reported dead within weeks. Dog-fighting bait. Jesus. Ranger's not going to Kentucky. Neither is their money. 6 p.m. Arrived wet and cold. October rain turning the warehouse district into a maze of reflections and shadows. I positioned myself in the adjacent building, night vision ready, recorder running. Through the scope, I counted hostiles Deke, 2 construction workers I recognized from Roy's crew, and Roy himself, trying to stay out of sight behind a stack of pallets. Tessa's text, pulling up, game time. I watched her sedan approach, park exactly where Deke had instructed. Smart. She left the engine running, driver door slightly open, quick exit if needed. Deke met her at the entrance, all smiles and false charm. "Ms. Morrison, welcome to our facility." Tessa had given a fake name. "Good. Let's see the dog first." Tessa's voice carried through my earpiece. She'd wired herself anyway. Backup recording. "Then we talk money." They led her inside. I moved to the loading dock, slipped through the gap I'd identified earlier. The warehouse smelled like fear and dog waste. How many animals had Deke destroyed here? I heard Ranger before I saw him. A low whine, distinctive pitch. He knew something was wrong. "Beautiful animal," Tessa was saying. "Let me see him work." Through the kennel area's doorway, I watched Deke parade Ranger through basic commands. My dog moved reluctantly, ears flat, looking for escape, looking for me. "He seems skittish," Tessa observed. "Just needs a firm hand," Deke replied. His previous owner was soft. Female. You know. Roy's laugh echoed from behind the pallets. He couldn't help himself, had to watch his plan unfold. I moved closer, using machinery as cover. The 2 construction workers stood near the exit, blocking Tessa's retreat. Classic pincer movement. "I'll give you 6,000, Tessa said. "Price is 7, non-negotiable." I need to verify his chip first. Make sure he's not stolen. Beautiful. Tessa was building the evidence chain. Deke produced a scanner, ran it over Ranger's neck. "See all legitimate?" That chip number let me write it down. While Deke was distracted, I acted. The UV spray hit the cash envelope in his pocket, invisible now, but it would glow under blacklight. Evidence of the transaction. Then I saw it Kyle, entering from a side door, carrying a baseball bat. 5 hostiles now. The odds were getting interesting. "Money first," Deke said, scanner disappearing into his pocket. Tessa reached for her jacket. "It's in the car. Let me—" "Jake, go with her." Deke ordered one of the construction workers. This was the robbery point. Once they had her isolated at the vehicle, they'd take everything. I pulled out my phone, sent Martinez a single word, "Now." Then I hit the lights. The warehouse plunged into darkness. I'd scouted the breaker box earlier. Main power was an easy pull. What the Deke's voice? I activated the tactical strobe, flooding the space with disorienting pulses. In the chaos, I moved. Ranger's kennel unlocked. The UV spray coating Roy as he stumbled from behind the pallets. "Ranger, here," I commanded in German, our training language. He launched toward my voice, 70 pounds of relief and rage. One of the construction workers tried to grab him. Ranger's teeth found his arm, military training snapping back. "It's her!" Roy screaming. "It's the bitch!" Emergency lights kicked on battery backup. Tessa had her weapon drawn, licensed carry. Legal. She wasn't pointing it, just showing it. The construction workers backed off. "Nobody moves," she commanded. Sirens. Martinez had perfect timing. "You set us up," Deke snarled at Tessa. "No," I said, stepping into the light. Ranger tight at my heel. "You set yourselves up. Stealing a military service dog. Trafficking across state lines. It's all recorded." Kyle raised the bat. "You ruined everything." "No, Kyle. Roy ruined everything. You just chose to watch." The police swept in fast and professional. Martinez had brought backup animal control. Even a DEA unit interested in what else Deke might be moving through his warehouse. "The money," Deke shouted. "Check her car, she brought cash for illegal purchase." Martinez smiled. "What money we'll need to search for that?" He produced a blacklight. "But look at this UV marker all over you guys. Wonder how that happened." The warehouse erupted into controlled chaos. Martinez had his team well trained. Each officer knew their role. 2 secured the exits. 1 started photographing the kennels. Another began processing the scene. The DEA unit went straight for Deke's office. "This is entrapment," Deke shouted, UV paint glowing on his hands under the blacklight. "I want my lawyer." "Absolutely. Get your lawyer." Martinez agreed. "Explain how you accidentally covered yourself in evidence marker while selling a stolen military service dog." He turned to Roy. "Mr. Baxter. Interesting to see you here. Thought you were in Toledo." Roy's face went white, then red. His construction crew had already been cuffed, one nursing the arm where Ranger had bitten him. But Roy was calculating, trying to find the angle. "I was just checking on a friend's business," he said. "No crime in that." I pulled out my phone, hit play on Mom's recording. Roy's drunk voice filled the warehouse. "Sold that mutt for $3,000. Deke'll flip him for double, maybe triple if those Kentucky boys bite. Stupid bitch thinks she owns things in my house." That's edited fake. "Digital forensics will verify the authenticity," Martinez said. "We've got enough for theft, conspiracy, fraud. That's just the dog charges." Kyle stood frozen, bat still in his hands. An officer approached cautiously. "Drop the weapon, son." Kyle looked at Roy, then at me. For a second, I saw the brother I'd once known confused, young, lost. Then his face hardened. "She ruined our family." "No," I said quietly. "Roy did that. You just chose sides." The bat clattered to the floor. Kyle was cuffed, but gently Martinez recognized a follower, not a leader. "Where's the money?" Deke kept demanding. "She brought cash check her." Tessa smiled. "Want to see it?" She walked to her car, pulled out the envelope. In the emergency lights, everyone could see the neat stack of Hollywood prop money. Perfectly legal to possess? Fun for parties. You never intended to buy a stolen dog that would be illegal. Tessa's voice was pure innocence. I kept Ranger at heel, though every muscle in his body vibrated with tension. He wanted to go after Roy, to finish what the Army had trained him to start. But I needed him calm for what came next. "Mara Quinn." An animal control officer approached. "Is this your service dog?" "Yes, ma'am." I produced his paper's registration, vaccination records, service certification, microchip documentation. "Stolen from my residence 3 nights ago." She scanned Ranger, confirmed the chip. "This matches. He's legally yours." She looked at Deke with disgust. "We're going to need to check every animal in this facility." That's when the real horror show began. 17 dogs in various kennels, some scarred from fighting, others terrified and underfed. The animal control officer's expression went from professional to furious. "This is a cruelty case now," she announced. "Federal investigation." Roy tried to edge toward the door. Martinez noticed. "Leaving somewhere. Mr. Baxter." "I need to call my wife." "Go ahead." I stepped forward. "Tell her you're arrested." "Oh, wait, she already knows." "She's probably in Michigan by now." Roy's face contorted. "You poisoned her against me." "No, you did that. Stealing her retirement, forging her signature, selling her house without permission. That's protected by marriage. Not fraud, not forgery." I pulled out the folder Mom had given me. "Copies for Detective Martinez. Originals are with Mom's lawyer." Martinez whistled low. "Real estate fraud, identity theft, embezzlement. This just became a federal case, too." The DEA agent emerged from Deke's office carrying boxes. "We're going to need a bigger truck. This guy's got connections to every dogfighting ring from here to Kentucky." Deke's lawyer had arrived cheap suit, nervous energy. He took one look at the evidence markers, the photographs being taken, the federal agents, and whispered urgently to his client. "My client wishes to cooperate," he announced. "In exchange for consideration." "He'll flip," Martinez told Roy. "They always do." Roy lunged at me then. "Not smart." Ranger reacted instantly, putting himself between us, teeth bared. Roy stumbled back into Martinez's grip. "Assault." Martinez noted. Add that to the list. Ranger, down, I commanded quietly. He obeyed but kept his eyes locked on Roy. As they led Roy away, he turned. This isn't over. Yes, I said. It is. The warehouse slowly emptied. Crime scene tape went up. The dogs were loaded into animal control vehicles safe. Finally. Kyle sat in a patrol car, staring at nothing. He'd be processed and probably released minimal involvement. First offense. But the Roy he'd worshipped was gone. Tessa found me sitting on a concrete barrier, Ranger's head in my lap. Nice work, soldier. Couldn't have done it alone. That's what battle buddies are for. She held out the fake collar with the AirTag. Didn't need this after all. Keep it. Never know when you might need to track something. Martinez approached. Notebook out. I'll need your statement. But off the record, this was beautiful. We've wanted Deke for 2 years. What about Roy? Federal charges take time, but with your mother's evidence, he's looking at 15 to 20. More if we find what I think we'll find in his finances. And Ranger goes home with his rightful owner, tonight. I clipped Ranger's original collar around his neck, tags jingling like music. He pressed against my leg, finally relaxing. Mara. Martinez held out a business card. The department could use someone with your skills. Investigative consulting, especially for cases involving veterans. Think about it. I took the card, a future I hadn't imagined using military training for civilian justice. The rain had stopped. October air smelled clean, electric with possibility. I led Ranger to my car, opened the door. He jumped in, circled 3 times, and settled into his spot, the one Roy had tried to steal. Let's go home, boy. Except we didn't have one anymore. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight. I had my battle buddy back. Tonight. That was enough. The warehouse lights cut through the October darkness like judgment. Blue and red strobes painted everything in alternating truth and consequence. I stood in that shifting light, Ranger's collar in my hand, watching the man who'd terrorized my family get processed like the criminal he'd always been. Mara Quinn. The federal agent's voice was professional, clipped. We'll need you to verify some evidence. I followed him to a table where they'd laid out Roy's life in damning detail, the forged documents, the stolen funds, the photos from the storage unit, each piece tagged, numbered, catalogued, the machinery of justice grinding forward. This signature, your mother's no. That's Roy's version of it. And this withdrawal from her retirement account. She never authorized it. Check the timestamp 2:13 a.m. She was working night inventory at the school. Each question built the cage that would hold Roy for the next 2 decades. No early release for financial crimes crossing state lines. No mercy for men who steal from the women they claim to love. Deke had already broken. Through the processing room window, I watched him gesture wildly, pointing at Roy, spilling every detail of their operation. 3 years of trafficking dogs across state lines. Connection to fighting rings in 4 states. Roy had supplied the locations, the transport, the money laundering through his construction business. Your stepfather was the mastermind, the agent confirmed. Deke was just the face. Kyle sat in a separate room, no longer the swaggering young man who'd called Roy Dad. He looked hollow, aged 10 years in 10 minutes. They'd release him with misdemeanor charges, wrong place, wrong choices, but salvageable. Maybe losing his hero would let him find himself. Ma'am, an animal control officer approached. Your dog, we need to examine him before release. Protocol for recovered animals. Ranger submitted to the examination with military discipline, but his eyes never left me. The vet tech ran gentle hands over him, checking for abuse, malnutrition, evidence of fighting. He's thin but unharmed, she announced. You can take him home. Home. The word felt foreign. Tessa waited by her rental car, 2 coffee cups steaming in the cold. Thought you could use this. The coffee was terrible police station brew, but warm. Thanks for having my 6. Always. She leaned against the hood. So what's next? back to the warehouse job. Mom's lawyer called. The house it's in her name. Always was. Roy's forgery doesn't change the original deed. She's giving it to me. The house you grew up in. The house where Roy beat me, where he sold my dog, where he destroyed my family. I took a long sip, but also where Dad taught me to ride a bike, where Mom read me stories, where Ranger and I can start over. That's a lot of ghosts. Good thing I'm trained in combat. Martinez emerged from the station, exhaustion and satisfaction mixing on his face. Wanted you to know Deke gave us everything. 12 more arrests tonight across 3 states. You didn't just save your dog, Quinn. You saved dozens. I just wanted Ranger back. Sometimes the best operations are the ones that exceed their objectives. He handed me an envelope. Reward money. 3 anonymous tips had been filed about Deke's operation. $10,000. It's yours. I stared at the check. This feels like justice. Take it. Start over right. Roy came out in shackles then, federal marshals on each arm. He saw me standing there free, vindicated, Ranger at my side, his face twisted with rage that had nowhere to go. You destroyed everything. No, I said, stepping into the light so he could see me clearly. I revealed everything. What you destroyed was always broken, built on lies, theft, and cruelty. What I built tonight, that's permanent. Your mother will take me back. She always does. She's filing divorce papers at 9 Michigan time. New life, new state, new beginning. The teacher's pension you couldn't touch because you forged the wrong account number. That's her freedom fund. They loaded him into the federal transport van. Through the window. His mouth moved curses I couldn't hear and wouldn't care about if I could. Ms. Quinn. A young officer approached nervous. There's someone who wants to talk to you. Kyle stood by a patrol car, hands cuffed but loose courtesy restraints, not criminal ones. You won, he said. This wasn't about winning. I thought he was strong, powerful. He was a bully with a construction crew. Real strength doesn't need to steal from family. Kyle looked at Ranger. The dog never liked me. Dogs no character. Mom Elaine, she left me a letter. Said if I wanted to change, really change, she'd help. From Michigan. That sounds like her. Always teaching, even when it hurts. I'm sorry. About the bat. About everything. Apologize with actions, not words. That's what Dad would have said. They took him away for processing, misdemeanor assault, probation likely, a chance to choose better. The warehouse stood empty now except for crime scene tape and evidence markers. Tomorrow. They'd find more. Roy's construction company had tentacles everywhere. But tonight, the immediate threat was neutralized. I loaded Ranger into my car, my father's old Jeep I'd kept running through everything. He settled into the passenger seat like he'd never left. Head out the window, breathing free air. Where to? Tessa asked through my window. Home. The house needs cleaning Roy's stuff to throw out, locks to change, ghosts to exorcise. Need help. Tomorrow. Tonight. Ranger and I need to remember what peace feels like. I drove through Columbus toward Westerville, toward the house where everything had broken and would now be rebuilt. Ranger's weight against my shoulder steadied me. We'd both come home from different wars, carrying different scars, but we'd survived, and now, finally, we could heal. The porch light was on when I pulled up. Mom must have called a neighbor. The house looked different without Roy's truck in the driveway, without his shadow in the windows. It looked like possibility. Ranger followed me to the door, then paused, sniffing. No trace of Roy remained. The threat had been eliminated. Clear, I told him. We're clear. We crossed the threshold together, soldier and service dog, into whatever came next. Justice had been served. The mission was complete. And somewhere in Michigan, my mother was learning to smile again. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts below. Your experiences and reactions mean everything to me.